Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to vibe code a portfolio. So if you're going to use this for yourself, you're going to use this for somebody else as well. We're going to talk about all the different parts of the portfolio. I am not going to talk about strategy of a portfolio. That's not kind of my strong suit as far as that goes. But I'm going to talk about how to use Lovable to be able to create a portfolio pretty quickly and easily, and even how to add different components like modals that pop up and show different examples or information about the text. And so that's really what we're going to focus on today. If you want to follow along, you can head on over to Lovable and sign up for a free account. You are limited to 5 credits a day, and there is a certain monthly limit as well, so something to keep in mind. But it is after that, to go up to the next level, it's like $20, and you get a lot more credits. And you can use that, and you can even host it here yourself on Lovable, or you can move the files over somewhere else and host it there as well. So you have both of those options if you wanted to be able to create that. And if you're not a web designer, that's fine. If you have not created anything custom or anything like that, that's fine. This vibe coding solution allows you to go in and just build anything that you want. And that's why I really like it, to be able to kind of remove those barriers as well. So don't get concerned if you're not a web developer. We're going to walk you through all the different parts that you need in order to create it. Now, typically when you're working with a portfolio, you have a header, you have an info page, you have kind of your projects, your different projects as well. You have a contact me, and maybe some other things that you want to kind of throw out there. We're going to go ahead and just prompt that with those basic sections. So let's go ahead and dive into Lovable here. I want to create a portfolio page that has a full screen banner when you first come to the page. Now, a banner is like that top part that has like an image or something like that with some text and something that really kind of calls out or is just, says something about you as well. So let's just go ahead and say, when you first come to the page, that is really bold, have background image with a cityscape pulled from Pexels, and my name, Jeff Batt, as the main title, and learning developer as the subtitle. Then as you scroll down, have an about me section with an image of me. I will give you later, and a bio with a contact me button. Then have a section below that has various cards. Now, cards are image. They're kind of a block or like a rectangle that has an image on top and some text below with usually like an action button or something like that. And you can design, don't get stuck on the design. You can design this however you want. So that is something to keep in mind. I'm just talking about different components that you can actually use, so you can tell Lovable that and it knows exactly what you're talking about. Then have a section below that has various project cards with a stock image for now, and project name, and then a button. I don't need to specifically tell it where to go yet, but we'll probably say add another page that has information about this project, or maybe we'll add it as a modal. So we can do either one. And then a button. Below that section will be a contact me section, and below that a footer. Now, it is good to actually become familiar with the various types of web components that are out there. In my Vibe Coding Fundamentals course, I talk about all the different web components. That way we can use the language of web, because it's not really creating anything new. It's creating exactly what a web developer would, or it's using exactly what a web developer would use. So to know those components is important enough to be able to direct exactly what you want. Don't worry, I'll show you exactly where to find those components right now. So let's go ahead and go into getbootstrap.com. Now, not every web application uses Bootstrap. However, I find this useful to actually scroll down by going into the docs and then going into the components section. This gives you a list of all the various components that are used. As you may be looking into this, you may be thinking to yourself, this looks familiar, because these types of components are used inside of Rise. They're used inside of various web applications that you're already familiar with. So those tools are using the same components that you can use in order to create your portfolio. Just by knowing the term, you can then say, I want to create an accordion. I want to create a card. I want to create a modal. And it helps direct the vibe coding tool that you're using to create the right components. All right, so we have accordions, we have alerts, we have badges as well. So you can see like this little badge here. We have carousels, where it has different images that you can scroll through. We have different drop downs as well. So if you wanted to create a drop down, you have modals that if you click on the modal, it'll pop open a little bit of a message here. So if I click on launch modal, that's what a modal is. It has nav bars, it has popovers. So you can see exactly what a popover is. It's kind of like a modal, but it just kind of pops off to the side. We have progress bars and so forth. While you don't need to know code anymore, it is still important to know the components. And that's why we dive into that inside of my course if you want to check that out here. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to Lovable. We already have kind of this big splash screen with the cityscape. My name is really large there. We have a little jumping arrow down at the bottom, which is great. I can do that, or I can scroll down. Now we don't have an image of me, so let's go ahead and grab an image, which I don't have on my desktop. Let me go to my LinkedIn. All right, so I grabbed my image from LinkedIn, and you could do this by clicking on visual edits, or you can actually just tell it specifically, but I'm gonna click on that. And then I can just target that with that selected, change out the image for this image. So just by simply doing that, it'll change the image here. You have to make sure that the image is big enough or it will try to redesign the image as well. So just keep that in mind. But now you can see as that's loading here, and it won't actually tell me that it's done. And so you could see that it may have an issue as I start to scroll down. So it may refresh, which I think that looks great. So all I had to do is just grab an image, specifically tell it where to go. If I turn off visual edits, it will take me back to my chat here. So you can see here, it makes up some text. I did not tell it what to make up there, but I could have like a contact me, email, other things like that. So we have different projects that kind of animate in when I scroll down, and you can see automatically when I hover over it, it animates into that image. And so I could swap out those images in the same way if I wanted to. And then I can just go down to the bottom, get in touch. Now this will not work unless it like ties to a service that sends email. So that may be something that you have to go back and forth to say, hey, I want this to be able to send an email. So just prompt that. I want it to be able to send an email to this email if somebody fills this out. I want it to show a message after that. So that's something that you'd have to dive down a little bit deeper there. And then down at the bottom, we have our footer, which has my copyright, and then links to go back to certain parts of my project. As simple as that, I could go in and completely say, I want this to be a light theme. I want this to be a dark theme. I want this to have blue tones. I want this to have, purple tones. I want this to use more rounded buttons. That is essentially all you need to do. You can create a portfolio pretty quickly. Now, if you come down here and if you click on View Project, right now nothing happens. So let's go ahead and show a modal. Now that we know what a modal is, which is a pop-up, let's show a modal that will have more information about the project. So I'm going to come in here. When you click on View Project, I want to show a modal that has more information about the project. I like to go ahead and design the site and then replace the content, because then I could just come in here and I could select the text using visual edits, and then I could just type in whatever text I want. So I like to get the framework in there and then fill out my content from there. I know that's a little backwards. Sometimes people like to have the content figured out first. I don't know. To me, I like to kind of figure out exactly how it's going to work, and then that kind of informs the type of content that I can put inside of there. Maybe that's just the way that my brain works. I don't know. I could be wrong. All right, so let's go ahead and just say, I want to show a modal that has more information about the project. It knows exactly what a modal is. I don't need to say, hey, I want a pop-up. I want that pop-up to have a close button. It should have a close button just because I'm defining it as a modal. So that's one of the benefits to it. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. So it took me back to my About Me page, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and click on View Project, and you can see now it has a modal with some more text, not the exact text that's here. It does use the same image, but I can say, use these images, put this image after this paragraph, let's add some more paragraphs. I could go ahead and expand upon that if I wanted to. But also it has a new section called Tools and Technologies. So I can say, what tools did I use? I used Articulate Storyline, I used Adobe Captivate, different things like that that helps show off exactly what you did in this sample project that you've created. And I think that's important, is to have those different sample projects. Work with various tools. Go start a trial with Storyline and create something inside of Storyline. Build out your portfolio and the different examples and show the type of content that you can do. But use Lovable to create the portfolio to make it look awesome and to make it functional and allow people to get the information they need to inside of your portfolio. All right, so there is a close button, but it's not really visible, especially with that image. Let's go into an image that's a little bit darker, and you can see that the close button is here. So I may want to change that and say, hey, on a lighter image, show it darker, change that color. You can go ahead and do that as well. But just within 2 prompts, really, let me just go back here. Well, I guess 3 prompts because I switched out my images. Within 3 prompts, I've been able to create a fully functional portfolio. I need to swap out all the content, obviously, and that will take a couple more prompts. But all I have to do is come up to publish now. And if I come up to publish, I can give it like my name, which my name actually won't work because I've already kind of taken that URL. And if somebody has already taken your name, you'll need to come up with something else. But let's say Jeff Bat 10, for example. And let's hit save. It'll tell you if that domain is available or not. And then if you click on publish, it will have that Lovable app. If you want it to not be on Lovable or hosted yourself, you will need to use something called GitHub in order to move those files over to your desktop and then upload it. So that probably is a separate video in of itself, but I do cover it inside of my course as well. All right, so now that is done publishing, I can go ahead and click on this URL, and this is the URL that I can send out to people. Now it does say edit with Lovable. If you have a paid version of Lovable, you can get rid of that. So if I come into my settings here, come up to the very top left-hand side, and then I go into my settings, this is where I could go in and I could say hide Lovable. If I just click on that, hide Lovable badge, just by simply doing that and clicking on go back, and then clicking, if I come back into here, I think if I hit refresh, it should just automatically hide it, and it does. So now, even though it says lovable.app, that's fine. People have been using WordPress.app and other things like that. So you're able to host it, you're able to get the files to create your portfolio, create something awesome. If I wanted to, as I scroll down, animate things in, I can say, as I scroll into the About Me section, animate in the button or animate from the right. And so you could add on to it. There is so much that you could do here. So many different possibilities as far as like animation, other things like that I cover inside of my course that you could check that out. Or if you want to check out previous videos, I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel as well. That is how you create a portfolio page inside of Lovable. You can do the same thing inside of Replit. You can do the same thing inside of Cursor. Really, you could do this inside of Claude. You can do this inside of ChatGPT. The tool doesn't matter as much. The design could change based on the tool. I really like Lovable and the way they design stuff, but you really could pretty much get it to a point where it's designed, the same across all different tools. So hopefully this shows you the possibilities. Hopefully this shows you how cool these tools are. And I'm emphasizing this. This is what I get excited about, is where it removes the barriers of development, allows you to have more control over the things that you actually develop. And that's really where I get passionate about. If you want to check out more, you can head on over to vibedojo.ninja. Here you can check out all our full courses covering everything A to Z, and vibe coding. We're creating more as well. You can also check out all our previous blog posts. You can join our free community as well and download resources and get information there as well. Also, if you like this video, head on over to my YouTube channel, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, as well as hit the bell notification so you get notified of all future videos as they come out. That really helps our channel, allows us to continue to grow, to reach more Vibe developers like yourself. That's all I have for today. Thanks everyone. I'll see you next time.
Turn my little chaos to a clean design. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it. Vibe code, baby, watch the whole thing ride. If there is a problem, yo, I'll solve it with AI. Flip my late night worry to a sunrise. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it. Vibe code, baby, vibe code, baby. Hey!